mask on a, you know what I'm talking about? One person does the mitzvah, and then the way that it can reach out to so many people.
Thank you.
Yeah. Today I was telling her.
Her sister's so cynical. She is. No, she's like Seinfeld character. She is. Her sister. She's so funny. She's like a stand-up comedian.
So welcome to the shloshim.
She doesn't stop. She does not stop.
Dovid, Ben, and Paul.
She does not stop. She does not stop. What? No, you're not turning. She cracks me up.
We're reading all the time here, children, and we know that Adi, Yisrael, Rod, and Shimon are all with us, and everyone else, all his very close family. This is a man that was loved by his family, like you can't believe the closeness of such a family, and people come from all over the world to recognize someone who was really devoted to really perfect idealism, totally committed, willing to climb buildings and bash down yeshkas if required, ready to change over the world, whatever was required to be authentic and to act, to walk the talk. So l'chaim. Corinne, as you know, is someone who has tremendous insight, and she was blessed with a vision last night that she's going to share with you. So last time we had a vision for our last occasion, so I think it's appropriate. So stay tuned for that. But to make this Suda's mitzvah, we're going to start with the Rebbe's kapitel. We're going to say his chapter of Psalms, not as long as last year, which is about 3 pages, 4 or 5. This one's just like a small paragraph. And then I'm going to give a short Dvar Torah. Morphs into a tremendous joy that you cannot imagine. If I didn't have a picture to prove it, I posted it. You probably saw. This is a man that after a stroke and not being able to use most of his body was standing on the table, dancing. I was holding it up for dear life. Like, because these things break. I've seen many tables break at Fabringas. I don't know if you're in the table breaking party crew. But in Lubavitch circles, they get on the table and the tables break. And if you're like I got dyslexic there. 68 years old. After a stroke, and with my dear son Aaron, who was rocking on the table by the chandelier. They were literally higher than the chandelier. There's a story that the Baal Shem Tov was hanging himself from the chandelier so he could stand up in prayer, else he would fall over. So he strapped himself to the chandelier in Vegas. Anyways, Reb Dovid is someone, he can stand on the table if he's in the mode of being what he was, which was a mashpia, a real, authentic mashpia. You can see from the pictures how dignified a mashpia like he looks. He looks like the real old school hardcore Russian, Israeli, or French, or international. Russian? Not Russian. That's true, but he does have that nice long fluffy beard, so you could just imagine. So I just want to say the Rebbe's kapitel, Shir Mal, this is Dovid Samakti, Li Beis Adonai Nele. I say you Lein, Mishrai, Yerushalayim, not New York, Yeshua Belo Yaakov, Sham Alu Shvatim Shivteya, Edus Li Yisrael, Edus Li Shamadinoi. Sham Yashua Krisis Li Mishpat, Krisis Li Beis Dovid, Shalom Shleim, Yishloim Hoy, Yishon Chelei Sharon Masoyer. Man Chai Reyo Yadav No Shalom Boch. Man Beis Adonai, Elohim Avach Shalom Boch. Okay, so I have been dabbling in the world's most sophisticated mind on the planet. And this is a vehicle that will, I know it will because I'm already doing it. I got my 11-year-old son, Samach, God bless him, to talk to the AI and come up with a Kaddish Torah, an innovative thought in the Torah, and make art to go with it and accompany it. And we are witnessing something when Safari.org came out, and you have all the searchable texts. I thought that was a very Mashiach revelation, but this once it starts getting access to all the well, look who's here, nothing, so you can vouch for what I'm saying. This is a tremendous revolution, bigger than in Russia, I think. And you were witnessing it. I hear this. What I wrote here was actually not written by AI, but I really tried to talk to it in a friendly way, so it would edit it for me to make it cool. But it's very hard. You got to learn how to speak to the thing. But check out some of the innovative thoughts in Torah that it's producing. I can't even believe the things I'm reading. Anyways, I'm just going to read this a short vort, and it's going to help you understand what happens to a soul. This is someone that people are very close to, and to not be in the world. How do you relate to him now? How does grief become meaningful?
An AI or someone?
No, this I actually wrote. It's not actually. This is based on a class with Menachem Rice. He wrote an amazing book that has a lot.
But did an AI write this that you're going to now?
I'm going to read this. This is written by me, edited by an AI, but based on a class from Rabbi Rice's. Okay, so Kaddish is a powerful prayer that begins with the emotive words Yiskadu Yiskadu Shmei Rabba. May His great name be exalted and sanctified. This prayer praises God and expresses yearning for the establishment of God's kingdom on earth. When someone we love passes away, we say Kaddish for their soul. But the Rebbe teaches that Kaddish is not just a prayer for their soul, it is also a way of bringing God's light into the lower worlds. By saying Kaddish, we affirm that even in the lowest, darkest moments of grief and loss, God is still present and sovereign. We declare that even death itself can be transformed into a source of life and blessing. This is the ultimate goal of creation, to reveal God's glory in every aspect of existence, even the lowest ones. This will lead to the greatest miracle of all, the resurrection of the dead, when God will restore life to those who have passed on and reunite them with their loved ones. Does death itself die? The promise and destiny of the world is an end to death, a time when death will be no more and tears will be wiped away. Death will be destroyed forever. My sovereign God will wipe the tears away from all faces and will put an end to the reproach of God's people over all the earth. For it is God who has spoken, as it says in Isaiah. Rashi explains that this verse means that Hashem will conceal death and hide it from the Jewish people forever. He has concealed death. He will cover it and hide it over from Israel. But Dovid, another literal interpretation, takes it further, explaining that this verse means that death will be destroyed and abolished forever. As opposed to covered over, it will be abolished entirely. God will put an end to the tears of crying and remove the reproach from His people. The main difference between these two interpretations is whether death will be covered over and concealed, as Rashi says, or eradicated completely, Dovid. In either case, the ultimate destiny of the world is a time when death itself becomes irrelevant or dies out completely. Why death to begin with? Death was introduced to the world with the sin of eating from the tree of knowledge. The sin resulted in the intermingling of good and evil in the world. Prior to the sin, the world was a heavenly garden where evil did exist, but was set aside in its rightful place. After humanity became infected by evil, living eternally would have meant that the evil inside would have persisted forever. Death allows evil to finally shed from the body, finding rectification. At the time of the Techiyah, the resurrection, death will become obsolete and humanity will forever be restored to an angelic state. This is how it all started, as our sages teach in the Medrash. As for me, I will behold your face in righteousness when I wake, etc. And as stated in the Zohar, at this time, the Holy One, blessed be He, will resurrect His people, and death will be removed from them. This is what is written, the right hand of the Lord does valiantly. I shall not die, but live. And it is written, and saviors shall come upon Mount Zion, and then the Lord shall be king. How does resurrection roll? Mashiach will teach and inspire people to reveal their core divine spark, a boundless source of energy. As it says, and you who cleave to God your Lord today are all alive. Hashem provides life to those who are inspired by the holy pursuit of connection to Him. In fact, there will be no vicissitudes affecting the Jew, such as loss of strength or old age. As it says in Zechariah, thus said God of hosts, there shall yet be elderly men and women in the squares of Jerusalem, each with staff in hand because of their great age. Like with the cane. From this we see the Rebbe teaches that there will be no old age in the way we are familiar, Although elderly people may carry walking sticks, they will not be confined to being indoors. They will be out in full vigor. Baruch Hashem, my parents are a living example of that.
So far.
Baruch Hashem.
More or less.
They will be in full vigor,
More or
please
less.
God, on the streets as young people. That's what we saw with Rebbe Dovid and Aaron. He was literally like, I think Aaron had to keep up with him. Oh, awesome. That is beautiful. Picture of the Rebbe, beautiful. Although there will still be old age, divine energy will be so pervasive that seniors will not be restricted or hindered by their age. Rebbe Bechaya teaches that as soon as a baby is born, it starts to wither towards mortality. Those who have grown old, being so distant from their original state of vitality at birth, these seniors will shock the world with their miraculous youthfulness and health. Old age, the diminishment of life itself, will have been transformed. At that time, our souls will be revealed in all their glory, and death and evil will be overwhelmed, transforming the finite and decaying aspect of nature into eternally vibrant divine life, without any opposition from the other side. Although the verse says, "You are dust, and to dust shall you return," the state of death can be bypassed through lowering our self-importance and attaining true, genuine humility. Through our connection to Hashem and our pursuit of righteousness, we can attain a state where death itself dies and where we are uplifted to eternal health and divine life forever. When we strive to this end, especially tonight, the Ilui Nishmas Dovid and Rafal, we bring the creative, vital, divine energy that invigorates us, ultimately bringing those who have passed on back into the world with a new eternal lease on life that Hashem will grant us all. Time. Rene, you ready? I think we got it streaming and everything, just like people wait.
It's okay. Just chill.
Okay, we're going to be back soon after the wine show.